hard times are times of opportunity. The market could be likened to nature, where the strongest and the nimblest survive. The economic crisis we are facing is not an anomaly, it is a natural downturn after strong growth. Therefore, no matter who you are, whether you are an entrepreneur or a person with a permanent job, you cannot be asleep in your surroundings, in your situation, because the world is dynamic, not only in terms of the world as a whole, but also in terms of the micro-world that surrounds you in particular. After all, it is obvious that we all live in the same world with the same conditions and we can all have the same things in it. If a person is a market dinosaur, unwieldy, inflexible and unable to adapt to changing conditions, he will disappear. We need to weigh up how much we prepare ourselves for the various challenges, how we view the situation as fixed or potentially dynamic. After all, it is always easiest to rest on your laurels and dream that success will always be with you, but it is not. Flexibility is the path to success in a crisis. Of course, you have to look harder for opportunities in times of crisis, where the rules of the game are different, but they leave you with a chance to win. First of all, you need to look at the situation in the country and around you. While the whole world is bound together by close economic ties, it is the immediate environment around a person or a business that is most likely to have the greatest impact on that person or that business, and it makes sense to look at that. A crisis does not, by definition, determine your business situation. Whatever the conditions, it is determined by your way of thinking, your ability to adapt. There have been visible failures due to a lack of analytical thinking. Less understanding of the economy and the dizzying influx of money inevitably led to collapse. Employees who had worked in one field for many years were also unable to switch to other fields and therefore did not escape the downturn. In times of difficulty, it is necessary to think about earnings from the other side. We need to realize that money is tight in the market and to consider what is most valuable for individuals and companies at the moment. Everything has to be done quickly and with a cool head. If you stay in one place for too long, it may be too late to change. Crises are like periods of reorganization, when everything needs to be rebuilt from the ground up, thoroughly reviewed and reassessed. Looking for a job, whether to give it to someone and benefit from it. All investment options must also be considered. Don't forget to click the subscribe button to help my channel grow, giving me the motivation to keep creating content. Investing. When you hear the word investing, the first thought that comes to mind for most people is probably that it is not an activity for me. Of course, to someone who has never been involved in it before, it can seem like a really complicated thing to get to grips with, like a table of chemical elements before you can do experiments in the lab with real chemicals. There is some truth in that, because whatever we do, we have to be at least superficially familiar with it, but investing is certainly not complex process as the interaction of chemical elements. So there is no need to be scared beforehand. Basically, investing is the process of using something of value, money, for some activity, so that it will pay off later and increase in value for the investor. Apart from the mystique that investing may sound like, for many, it may seem like an activity, not for me, because of its complexity and riskiness. After all, it is a real game with money, not a phenomenon caused by a compound of soda, water and citric acid, from which no one suffers or wins. Many people do not invest because they are scared and do not know how to start investing, or do not know that they can do it at all. So, when we start to look at the question of investing, the first question we need to answer is how much money you need to have to make an investment. And the answer is very simple. You can have any amount of money, it's all about having it. It's great if you have 1 million, but it's okay if you only have $100. So, the first and most important question, after you have made up your mind about investing, that you need to answer honestly is how much do I have and can I invest? So asking the question of investment can also be a very useful revision of your budget. Answering this question can be the next step towards investing. If you are interested in my content, don't forget to click the subscribe button. The difference between what you do will depend on how much you are able and willing to spend on investments. That amount can be divided into the following ranges: up to $30,000, an amount of more than $30,000 or $40,000. If the amount you want to invest is small, say $1,000, it is worth looking at the investment from a slightly different angle. In today's market, it would be best to invest such a sum in self-improvement. This could include a variety of courses, training, obtaining a driving license, fixing health problems, improving one's appearance. This is also an important investment, as a serious entrepreneur needs to look neat. The return on this type of investment is a little harder to calculate, but it is certainly significant. And this type of investment should certainly not be underestimated, because in some cases, health, for example, it is not only recommended but also necessary. Of course, it may seem like a waste of time and money to some people, but the results that will appear a little later will be worth the effort and the financial investment. After all, a future entrepreneur must not only be a person with good ideas, but also an independent person, able to speak foreign languages, drive a car, use a computer, etc. Not to mention being businesslike and neat and healthy. Such investments can be seen as preparation for one's future activities. It is a different matter if you have more than $30,000 or $40,000 to invest. In this case, it would be advisable to consult a professional and not to take risky investment actions. The most important rule of investing is to know what is expected from a particular investment. It is foolish and often unwise to invest simply for the sake of investing, but it is still, as like everything in business, must be more or less well thought out. If you like my content, click the subscribe and like buttons. See you later.